Well, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. We're a little behind schedule, but you know what? This is the business. That's the way things work out sometimes. But I would like to thank each and every one of you who will be joining us and who happen to be here now and who will be here in the future. Thank you so much for joining me on a conversation with. I am your humble host, Floyd Marshall Jr. And today I am joined by a very special guest. I have known this brother for quite some time. He's an exceptional young man. I have watched him flourish and blossom in his acting career. He actually graced a few of my productions back in the day when I was doing that sort of thing. My one film, Love and Litigation, and then one of my stage plays.
Mhm.
Which one was that? It was a conversation. It was a conversation.
Yep.
The conversation, the stage
Yep.
play. Wow, that's so interesting.
Yep.
And just an all around good young man. And it's just a pleasure to actually sit down and talk with this brother because again, I've just watched his career flourish, and I'm just so excited to have him here, and it is such an honor and a pleasure to welcome Philly's own Kevin Savage to the show. Kevin,
Ooh.
how you doing, brother? How you doing?
Good, man. How are you?
I am absolutely amazing. I am absolutely amazing. Life is beautiful and living it to the fullest.
Absolutely.
So I have no complaints. So we gonna jump right in this because as I just said, I've watched you flourish, from someone who was doing independent films in Philadelphia, doing independent theater here in Philadelphia. But let's go back for a bit. How did you actually get your start in acting?
Man. So I was a member of a church in Philly, and they were casting for a play, and it was like the Christian rendition of Little Shop of Horror. Remember with
Mhm.
Brandis
Yeah.
his fly trap, and so I auditioned and got the lead role as Seymour, and that play was the first I'd ever done any acting. And then, of course, it was stage, and it was beautiful, man. Just the responses that I had gotten and the energy that I'd received, I was like, this is what I want to do, man. And that's when I got the acting bug, right?
Mhm.
And then from there, you just doing multiple, stage productions in Philly. Obviously, right? Doing the conversation and so many others, Genocycle of Dirty Laundry, and then so many others. And then I just kept going, kept going.
Yeah. So you did, as you said, you did a lot of work, theater and independent film wise in Philadelphia. So how did that prepare you for the larger stage that you are now on?
Just the experience, just really trying to be the student, a student of the art form of acting, and
Mhm.
just trying to pick up different tools, right?
Mhm.
I had a few coaches in Philly because I was actually going to audition. I auditioned for the University of the Arts. I didn't get in.
Oh wow.
I mean, I was this close. And
Hmm.
this is after being out of school for a while, and I'm going up against people who are just graduating high school, who had taken theater all 4 years in high school, and I mean with like formal training,
Hmm.
and like I think I want to do that, and I just I rehearsed, and I studied, and I prepared for about a month, and I almost got in. And I said,
Hmm.
I have a different path. And so I'm just really glad that I stuck with it, because acting is one of those things, man, where it's just when you do it because you love it, like anything else, you're always going to get some type of return. And for me, it's just the joy of my work and working with other people, and making a scene come alive.
So that's beautiful. So what did that do for you? You prepare, you do everything that you think that you should have done, and you still don't get in. So what, if anything, did that do to your psyche? And did it give you the impetus? Did it give you any fire to say, well, you know what? I didn't get that, but this is not the end for me.
Absolutely. Because I mean, just like anything in life, you're gonna get rejected. I
Hmm.
mean, that's just what it is, And for me, it wasn't like, some people just can't take rejection. If you can't take rejection, acting is not for you.
Wrong
'Cause
business.
I mean, wrong business, right? Um, and and so even when you audition and you just don't get it, and you've prepared and prepared and prepared, you get a call back. I just had a call back last week. Killed it, I thought. uh, they loved it, and I'm like, yo, I'm definitely gonna book this. Never heard
Hmm.
it, and you feel some type of way at first, but it's one of those things. It's like you can get 100 no's, but when you get that one yes, it's worth all of them. And you just got to be patient and stay in the game long enough. And most people don't want to stay in the game long enough.
Yeah, you're right about that one note, because I remember when I submitted a film that I did, and Lionel's on, so he said, "What's up?"
What's up, Lionel?
Yeah,
What?
Lionel Cook is on. So I remember I did a film, A Child of God,
Okay.
and had Karen Waller Martin in it, Nakia, and I submitted that film to over 50 festivals,
Wow.
and I heard 50 no's.
Yeah.
And I never deleted those no's. I kept them
Mm.
because I said that is the fuel right there. And then one day I got I was going to work and I got a notification. Something said, check your email, check your email.
Mm.
And I got that email from the Atlanta Peachtree Film Festival. It said, your film is accepted. Man, I broke down, started crying.
Yeah.
And all of those 50 no's just went out the window. I went and woke my wife up. I'm like, I got in, I got in, I got in. So the no's prepare you for the yes.
Yes.
Because I mean, and in my opinion, it's just like, now, you work out, we work out. No, to me, is the muscle builder.
Yeah. Oh, I like.
Because how do you act when you finally get that yes? And hearing all the no's, it's like doing reps in the gym.
Mm.
It prepares you for when you say, okay, well, I did the 70-pound weights. Now it's time to hit them 75s.
Right.
But you can't get to the 75s if you ain't lifted the 70s, or at
Oh,
least try to. What your opinion on that?
that's right. Absolutely. That is the perfect analogy, right? Because, um, when you're pursuing success, oftentimes you're going to come through a lot of pain, and just you know the physiology part of lifting weight. I mean, when you're lifting weights, people don't notice, but you're actually tearing down your muscle fibers. You're hurting your muscle fibers, but that's so it can rip, so it can make room for other muscle fibers, so that way your muscles expand and grow. So the same thing. I mean, Floyd, I mean, that was perfect. I mean, when you get those no's, they are supposed to breed a level of resilience. But some people just they can't see past that,
Mhm.
and for us, and that's how you know when you're meant to do it. And so, you got to understand, for every no, like you said, I mean, no, it doesn't mean never. It's just not now. But until you get that yes, you just prepare and prepare, take classes, do what you need to do, because there's a season in which, in between that no and the next opportunity, you have this time to prepare, so that way you can put yourself in the best position to get a yes. And you still may get another no, right? But it's not failure, it's experience. And once you continue, when you learn that everything you need to pick up is through experience, you're setting yourself up for success. It's just you just don't know when it's going to happen, but it's going to happen. It's going to happen.
Yeah, and that's so true what you say. If only people just took a breath
Hmm.
and said, okay. And I've often found, and you tell me if this has happened with you. I've often found that when someone is saying no, it's not right now, because you may not have that thing that they need right now.
Right.
Because
Right.
how many times have you gone? Because I've listened to a couple of interviews that you've done where people, and I'm jumping a little ahead, but that's okay.
Yeah. Sorry.
Where people that you auditioned for, initially told you no,
Yeah,
but then further down the line, the phone was ringing and they were calling you up.
absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, Floyd, so when I first moved to Atlanta in 2013, it's been 10 years already. I mean, time is going by so fast.
Wow.
I didn't understand that it's a numbers game.
Mhm.
And, a lot of times, if you're new to the scene and you're new to casting directors and, you could be good, doesn't mean they're gonna say yes because they feel like, okay, we need to see more work. They look at your resume and they see that you haven't done anything in terms of like network television or anything. They want to make sure that they can trust you. So what it is there's this incubation time where, you go through this period in which they're going to keep calling you. And as long as they're calling you in the room, and I used to expect to get booked because I'm like, well, they're calling me. So I'm going to get, I have a chance and an opportunity to book it. It's not to say that you don't, but
Mhm.
they want to see your grit. They want to see you grow. They want to see if they can trust you. They want to see how fast you can get your audition in. They want to see how on point you are. They want to see if you're doing character breakdown, if you're really understanding what this character calls for, if you're understanding your objective, if you understanding you're understanding the antagonist and the protagonist and what they are. People don't even know what that is, and if you understand those things and they see that you've done your homework, one day they're going to say yes. Um, and I tell people all the time, Floyd, you know, you never know when your time is going to come. But if you give up, it's a guarantee that your time will never come. And so, you know, you never know. You don't know when it's going to come. But if you give up, it will never come. And you
Mhm.
can guarantee that, right? And so you just got to stay in the game. You got
Mhm.
to stay in the game.
Yeah, and it's so true. I always tell, especially younger people, that one of two things can happen. There is a 50% chance that it will work if you attempt it, but there is a 100% chance that it will not work if you never even try.
Right,
So, my question to them is always, what is the worst thing that could happen?
right,
It could work or it could not.
right.
So, then what happens if it doesn't work? You throw away what didn't work, you keep what did work, you build on that.
Right.
Now, let me ask you a question because you were talking about casting directors and executives, showrunners, whatever, a level of trust
Mhm,
and it taking some time for you to, let's just say, get on.
mhm.
So why is that? I'm trying to get to a certain thing, but why is it that they have to have that level of trust before they decide, okay, you know what, I'm going to green light Kevin or anyone else? Why is that?
I mean, it's the same as, you got a company, right? And you have trusted people that have worked with you for a long time, right?
Mm,
And other people that want to come and work for you, you got to check out their resume. You got to see what they've done before they even come to you. Because
mm,
if their resume, they don't have anything on their resume that's nowhere near relating to what you're hiring for, would you trust them to come in and drive trucks and do these things that, so it's like they need to see that, okay, well, maybe your resume, because, when I came here, I mean, my resume really, I didn't have much television stuff, right? I
mm,
mean, even auditioning. I remember the first time I auditioned, I went to a taping service, right? And so, um here, like, you have taping services, and so frat pat, different services that you go to, you pay your money, and you may book out an hour or two, and you send them the size or the script, and then you prepare, and by the time you step in that room, they're ready to tape you, and you're taping your audition. And so I remember the first time, it was with my boy Rowan Bauzing. Shout out to you, Rowan. um I remember, auditioning for like a lead. It was like a Lee Daniels project or something on HBO. And man, when I tell you, it took me about an hour and a half. I booked 2 hours. It took me about an hour and 40 minutes just for him to say, okay, um, maybe we can submit this. Because I
mm,
theater. And when you come from theater, everything is big.
mhm.
So your expressions, everything is big. And so just understanding the difference between theater and television slash film, you got to understand that. Because as soon as I went in, he was like, yeah, you come from theater, don't you? And I was like, bad thing? He's like, no, it's not a bad thing, but you got to bring it back a lot. And I mean, there's a series of different things that he was doing to help me. And even after an hour and 40 minutes, he was like, we might be able to submit this. And I,
Mm,
whoa. So even just coming here, I had to understand that when you're on camera, it picks up everything. So you don't have to be as big. Matter of fact, less is more, right? And so just understanding that, man, and there's a lot of different things that I had to learn and understand before I could even be competitive
mhm.
on television.
And you know what's funny? When you said that, it took me back to when I was acting, and I had one of the best acting coaches out there, Juicy McDaniels. And when I first took her class, before I had any type of training, she had us do a commercial. She said, pick a commercial off of television and then tape yourself doing the commercial.
Mm-hmm.
Now, me not knowing, like phrases like the economy of movement, because as you said, when you're on camera, the slightest move can be magnified. So,
And
if and I said this to actors, if you ever watch acting on television, they're barely moving, and there's a reason for that because anything can be exaggerated. And
right.
I taped a Zantac commercial and I took it to class. And needless to say, when my wife watched this, she said, "You look like you was on crack," because my expressions were all over the place. But again, I did not know how real camera work worked.
Uh-huh.
So with that, your audition preparation, how do you get into preparing for your audition? And more importantly, how long did it take you to finally get to a point where you were very comfortable in front of the camera auditioning and being able to deliver when you went into the audition room?
Such a good question. Um, so when Actors Access, hopefully everybody watching knows what Actors Access. It's a website that typically your agent goes through to get you auditions. They'll see different jobs. They'll reach out to directors, send them email, hey, can Kevin Savage audition for your project? I think he's perfect for it. And it's up to the producers and directors to say, yes, he can audition, no, he can't. So when you're accepted to audition, and that's even a process people don't even understand. You got to be accepted to even audition. But when you are accepted, then they submit the sides to you. Your agent submits the sides to you, and then you just go in. And so you know, there's a breakdown. It's telling you who the producers are, who the director is. Oftentimes, I'll go and do some homework if I haven't worked with the director before, because there's different directing styles, right? And so you want to make sure that you may be auditioning for a Barry Jenkins, right? And Barry Jenkins might have a different style than Lizzie Chang or whoever. So you want to make sure that you're given the right style of acting and the right cadence. And then there's a breakdown of the character. Character may be 37-year-old, tall, fit male. He's a cop. He's in love with Veronica, but Veronica is not ready for love yet. But he's resilient and he keeps going after her. And one day they come together in a coffee shop. And he sits down next to her, and he shoots his shot, right? And so I mean, we've all been in those situations, right, as men, right? So it's like, all right, so I can work with this because this is not something so far-fetched that I don't understand. So you take your own,
Right.
you mix it in with that, um and then you just kind of play around with it, man. I mean, you try different takes, but don't go for the obvious. And when I say that, what I mean by that is there may be certain instructions that it's giving you. So if you're mad, right, you got a scene where you're supposed to be mad. It says, Jonathan picks up anything, a cardboard or whatever, or a water, and throws it down or whatever. And no, don't always do that, because sometimes you can play mad real subtle. You know, what happens when you walk in the room and you're upset with somebody, "Ah," but then you walk in the room and you just look at them and then you deliver your dialogue.
Mm.
A different energy. It gives a different power. And so you also have to understand when you're looking at scripts and you're breaking it down, you're looking at sides and you're breaking it down, don't always, there's a trap that you can fall into. Because guess what? When they're watching your audition tape, they're going to expect everybody to do exactly the same thing. But when they see that you've decided to do something different, guess what? Different doesn't mean it's right. Different doesn't mean it's wrong. But guess what? It's different. And I
Mm.
guarantee you'll stick out. Now, they may not even like the choice that you made, but they will respect the fact that you are an independent thinker. And as an actor, you have to be you have to be independent when you're going through the process, right? And so when they see that, they will respect it, and they're going to call you back in the room, even if they don't like your choice. They'll still call you back, and you may book it. You might, just because the script said, he picks up a laptop and he throws it and it crashes everywhere and whatever, and you decide to pick the laptop up and look at it and you put it to the side and you just sit there for a moment. You could book it. So you just got to know how to play with it. You have to know how to break down, your character analysis with everything that you have. Now, sometimes you may not have a lot of time. Sometimes you may get an audition that says you got to turn it around in 4 or 5 hours.
Mhm.
And in those moments, you just say, okay, eat the meat, spit out the bones. Mm, let me try something. You should always want to do something a little different than what you're seeing, because everybody's going to come in and do the same thing. And you play around with it and experience. Once you get that experience, that's what's going to help you get ready for auditions that need to be turned around just like that.
That is beautiful. So, ladies and gentlemen, if you're listening, that was a masterclass. So I hope you had some pen and a paper and you took all of that down. But you said something that really stuck out, and I hope people caught it, making a choice.
Mhm.
Because when I used to write and someone would ask me, how should I play this? I said, I have absolutely no idea, because
Mhm.
I ain't the one that's just on the roll. But here's the thing. Sometimes when an actor comes in and they do exactly what you just said, as a writer and as a casting director, you may be sitting there thinking of this character one way, but then you come in and you do something entirely different. Now everyone's looking at each other saying, I never even saw that. I never even knew that that character had that particular layer. And you've just added an entirely different layer to that actor that they weren't even looking for. So sometimes a lot of times going outside the box is a good thing. And here's the thing. When I used to work with Angelique, and you know exactly who Angelique
Oh yeah,
is, we would always talk about let them go,
right.
and if they go out too far, we'll bring them back in.
Back.
But I'm going to let you go to the edge,
Right.
because that's where the good shit happens.
Right.
But like you said, if everybody comes in doing the cookie cutter
Playing
by
it
the
safe.
numbers thing, you're sitting there like, wow, here we go again.
Yeah.
But
Play.
but when you as the actor, make a choice, that's a beautiful thing. I'm sorry, you were saying?
No, I was just, you're right. It's called playing it safe. You never want to play it safe. Playing it safe is the graveyard for actors.
And you're right, because I remember when I took a class with Bill Duke, phenomenal acting class. Oh my gosh. And
Mm.
he called it falling backwards into darkness. I never forgot it. That was the first ABFF that I had gone to. And I still remember that line. He said, you have to do this like you're falling backwards into darkness,
Mm.
meaning you just have to let go and just let it.
Yeah.
And everyone did what you said, Kevin. They played it safe. And he wouldn't take that. He
Right.
wouldn't take that. He was like, nope, let's do it again. And I want you to do this, and this. And by the time he got done with us, we were stretched like you would not believe. But I learned from that, and that helped me in my writing and everything else. But
Hmm.
I want to ask you this. You've played a very wide variety of roles. Um, what type of training gives you the range to pull that off? I mean, do you have multiple coaches? And how deeply do you go into scene study? Because you've played some very different roles. You know, Lovecraft Country, then Soul Train, P Valley. You also did one of my favorite scenes of all time on Insecure. Great scene, sir. I ain't never gonna be mad at that type of scene. So hey, it is what it is. But
Right.
how do you do you have multiple coaches, and how did that work out?
Um, it's more so method acting, you know. It's really just trying to like really digging in, and like you said, not just letting yourself go and seeing where it can go, right?
Mhm.
I do have a few coaches. I do. Um, a few of my friends are coaches too,
Mhm.
so they'll always tell me, "Ah, you played that a little too safe," you know.
Mhm.
So I want to see something bigger or something better, something just different. And so after a while, um, it's not that you don't need training anymore. You just start to know how to walk, and it's like it's almost like a contractor. You can walk into a house and just look and see what he needs to do structurally to fix certain things in a home, right, or building, or whatever, right. Whereas though if you're brand new, you may need to walk in and do certain things that you just don't understand
Right.
and not know how to find issues with, right, whatever you're working on. So when you kind of get that eye, right, and so once you get that eye, there's basic things that you have to understand. You have to understand your objective as an actor. If you don't understand your objective, I mean, it's literally like you're driving a car and you don't know where you're going. You're just
Mm.
driving, you have no destination, right? Your objective is the navigation to your scene. And if you understand where you're going and your purpose, then you can get out the car and take a bike, take a train. Doesn't matter what the tool is to get you where you need to be, because you know where you're going. You can walk
Mhm.
if you, right. And so understanding your objective is one thing that a lot of actors just don't understand. And so when you understand that as an actor, as your character, then you can play around with how you're going to get there, because there's no right way to get to where you want to be in terms of portraying that character. And understand this, um, like you said, when you walk in a room and someone's auditioning for you and they try something different, and you say, "Oh man, I never thought that this character even." You just added another layer. Well, that layer was a part of who that person is, right? And so if I walk in a room and I audition and I'm given another layer, that layer is not the character. That layer is me. Because
Mm.
casting directors and producers are casting an actor. They're not casting the character. They're casting the person who came in there and did what they, were trained to do. And so it's very important that you're not being cast as the actor. You're being cast as who you are. You know, acting is, reacting realistically to imaginary circumstances. So if you react realistically, something that I would do, something that you would do in that situation, if you react realistically, then they get to see who Floyd is. Then they get to see who Kevin is. And that's who they want to hire. They don't want to hire another actor. They want to hire a person who understands the job, who understands the mission, who comes in there, they're trained, they're prepared, they're on time, and they understand their objective, and they go and they do it.
That man, you know what? If y'all ain't writing this stuff down, this is a masterclass we learning here. But that is so true,
Yeah,
because when you were saying that, certain actors kept running through my head: a Denzel, a Tom Hanks, a Robert De Niro, Forrest Whitaker, people such as that. And if you look at all of their roles, the roles could be North and South Pole, but they are always them,
absolutely.
which is amazing. And I would often sit and look and say, well, damn, that's a master right there,
Mhm.
because you could play a CIA agent, or you could play a guy. who accidentally killed his wife and you're trying to convince your son to go to another college.
Right.
Or you could be playing the horn, but you're always the same dude.
Yeah. Yeah. That's when you've become comfortable. And that's why, man, acting pulls a lot out of you emotionally. It it helps you learn about who you are mentally, emotionally. Um, and I took a class one time, and man, it was draining. It was draining because it was like, okay, well, I think I had an activity to do, and I was BSing, and my acting coach said, okay, so this is what you do in life, you BS. And I was like, whoa. It was like, he was like, well, it's no different. He was like, you're coming in here and you're playing around. You're giving me BS work. I know
Mm,
you're serious. I want to see you. I want to see if you were in this situation. And I think it was something like, as actors, we get activities during class, right? And so I
mhm,
think activity was he had written down a combination to a lock, right? And he ripped it up. And this combination was to the door, for the lock of the door that had my sister on the other side. And it's my
mm,
and there's a bomb that's about to go off, and it's about to go off in like 5 minutes, and he's counting down, and I have to take these little itty bitty pieces of paper and put them together to try to put them all together to see what the combination is. And so for the first couple times I was just BSing, and he stopped me and he just really dug in, and he said something that really, he was like, so he's like, you just BS all your life, huh? That's
mm,
that's why you're not further along than what you should be. I mean, saying certain things that just like outraged me. And I started to go at him, and he said, "Go." And I'm telling you, man, when I look down and I'm looking at this piece of paper, then it became real to me because he has
mm,
struck something inside of me. So then I wasn't acting anymore. I'm literally trying to figure out how to put these pieces of paper together to get the code. And I'm like really close. And the time went, he said time, and I bursted out crying.
mhm.
And I'm on the floor like a baby crying because in my mind, my sister was gone because I could not figure out what this combination was because I couldn't put the pieces of paper together. And I had residuals, and he just let me sit there for a minute. And when I came to, he looked at me and he said, "Now that is acting."
Wow.
And
Wow.
I was like, "What?" And so you got to get to a place where it becomes so real to you that it is real.
Mhm.
And that oftentimes results in the best performances.
Yeah. And you know what's interesting? That is exactly what Bill Duke did.
Mm,
Bill Duke, when I did my monologue, I did oh gosh. Oh goodness gracious. I can't remember what the monologue was. But after I did, he said that was okay. And then he said, let me ask you a question. I said, what? He said, you have children? I said, yeah, I have two girls. And he said, how old are they? And this was a long time. I gave him my age. He said, what time is it? And I looked at the clock, and it was like 1 o'clock in the afternoon. He said, okay, I'll tell you what. He said, I want you to close your eyes. I said, okay. He said, I want you to keep them closed. He said, when you open your eyes, he said, I want you to look at the clock, and your children are now gone.
mm,
He said, now I don't want you to say anything. He said, but I want you to sit there and think about that and just keep watching the clock and
mm,
think about what it would be like to not have your girls. And they are my life. Man, when I tell you, and then he said, go, just like your coach said, he said, go. Kevin, I have never done a monologue that well ever again.
mm.
But he made it, as you said, it became personal.
Personal.
It wasn't about somebody had just written something on a page. It was about your children are no longer here.
Mm,
Talk about that. But and that brings me to my next point because again, you were an American Soul, and you were also in Lovecraft Country, and both roles were critical because it really gave insight into the characters that you played opposite.
Mhm.
Don Cornelius' dad, the things that you did in there that shaped him, that shaped you as a man, and where you played the sergeant and involved in Jonathan Majors having to make a decision where you end up ending someone's life.
Mhm.
So how did what your coach taught you with that prepare you for those particular scenes when
Mhm.
you're in the yard and you and Don Cornelius are going at no, you were Don, no, wait a minute, no, Don Cornelius was
Yeah, yeah. I played his father,
right,
and
right, right,
so
right.
Carter Cornelius. Yep, you know, you're on it though. You're on it. Um, so my coach pretty much, he's, so in real life, right? I was adopted. I have a twin sister, RT. Shout out to my twin. We were adopted at the age of 2, and
Mm,
so met our parents when we were about 15 years ago, right? And so um, my mother was on drugs for over 30 years. My father,
mm,
and so he was in the army for like 20, 25 years. But we met our father on a Saturday, met our mother on a Tuesday. Literally, we met our father one Saturday. That literally a few days later, we met our mother. And I wish I had time to go into it, but um, I say all that to say I don't really have like I'm close to my dad in certain ways, but we still haven't built like the strongest relationship. So a lot of the roles that I've played when it comes to a father or a son speaking to his father, I'm able to draw from my personal experiences
mm,
of not really having my dad around in my life. And it becomes, like you said, personal. And so when I'm looking at a script as Carter Cornelius, and he's this abusive father, but that's because he was abused. And he's trying to teach his son, do do as I say, not as I do. Um, I take that and I'm just like, wow, like that had to be crazy. And so I use all of the things that I have in my personal experience of just, you know, going to basketball games and playing in a game and looking around and wishing my father was there, going on prom and then, my dad's not there to, or my mom's not there, so all of these things, they become, I mean, it's a form of PTSD. I mean, when you grow up without your parents, there's a form of PTSD that you don't even know that you have.
mm,
And it just takes one thing to set you off. So for me, I use that as a tool. And for me, fortunately, it works every single time.
mm,
So, when you can relate to um, a character personally, it makes it that much easier because then you don't have to work as hard to really drive. You just allow the work and allow your personal experiences to be the driver and take you to your destination of delivering, the best performance that you can.
mm.
Uh, and of course, I've never killed anyone or anything like that. But I just said, well, what if I had to kill someone, right?
Mhm.
Think of, okay, well, what if there's a situation where it's either me or someone else? It ain't gonna be me.
Right.
Right. And so and of course some of the techniques that my training has given me, or my coaches have given me. So I just kind of put all of that together. And one thing I do, Floyd, is I try not to overthink it,
Mhm.
because overthink things, and like I said before earlier, less is more. Now if you're in a situation and it takes you there, like when I auditioned for Lovecraft Country, it just kind of took me there. And I mean, I auditioned that day, and the next day I was booked.
Mm.
Just I let it just happen, and you don't always have to experience something to be able to give a great performance.
Right.
You could just, relate to it in a certain way and just go. And so that's, to me, for me, that's what I rely on. My training and my personal experiences, and you know.
Hmm. So let's go back because you got your start as a leading man in a very interesting way. Um, you were a stand-in, So I want you to relay that story. And ladies and gentlemen, I really want you to listen to what he's talking about. Because when you're talking about readiness, this is why you should always be just that, ready.
Mhm.
So can you share that story? Because I found that very fascinating and very insightful.
Absolutely. So when I first moved here, it was I want to say September 2013, and I had a publicist at the time who submitted me to The Game, the television show, and I ended up being chosen to be Jay Ellis's stand-in. And if you guys don't know what a stand-in is, pretty much, so yeah, first team and second team. First team are the actors, the cast. Second team are the stand-ins. Stand-ins is pretty much, they want someone who actually looks like a particular actor, so they can put you in the scene. They can get all the lighting, everything together, and then they pull you out, and then they'll put the actor who you're a stand-in for in the scene, and then they go with the scene. A lot of times, though, they give you sides, and sides is pretty much an abridged script, right? And so they'll give you sides for that particular episode or scene. So what I would do is I would take my sides and I would memorize them, and they were Jay Ellis's, right? So I would memorize Jay Ellis's sides for that day. And I remember one of the other stand-ins saying, "I don't know why you're memorizing the sides. They'll never have second team, go through rehearsal." And I said, "Well, you never know." That's what I said. I said, you never know." And so, literally, what happened was about a month and a half later, first team was taking forever in their trailer, and they were like, "Okay, well, you know what? Second team, they're taking forever. Second team, let's just go through rehearsal. Let's go through the scene." And it was about eight of us, and out of eight of us, only two of us was ready. And fortunately, Jay Ellis is Lou and Lauren London's character, they were, they were together. And so the stand-in for Lauren London, she was memorizing her sides too. So when
Mm,
we got on set, me and her were killing it without the sides. And everybody else was fumbling. They were nervous. And we were killing it. And I remember Kenny Smith, one of the producers, he pulled me to the side. He said, "I see you're one of the serious ones, huh?" And I said, "Yeah." He said, "Okay, I'll give you a chance to audition." And I auditioned. I didn't get the audition. But he said, "Don't worry about it." He said, "Don't even worry about it. Look, I got you." And he gave me a role as a patron. And I actually got to be in a scene with Jay Ellis, the guy who I'm playing a stand-in for.
mm,
I had lines with him. Think about the significance of that. And I remember he whispered, we were done. When we were done the scene, he walked up to me and said, "I see you trying to take my job, huh?" I said, "No, I ain't trying to take your job, bro. I'm just trying to
mm,
make my own job." And they knew from then on that I was serious and I wasn't
mm,
just one of the ones trying to be on set around the celebrities. And that's just when you stay ready, you really don't have to get ready. If they called me today or tomorrow for a guy who's fit and he needs to take his shirt off and whatever, I can do that right now because I go to the gym every day.
mm,
I'm not getting ready when the opportunity comes. No, I'm already ready. So when the opportunity comes, I can just walk through it like a door. Just walk through. And I tell people that all the time. Don't wait for the opportunity to prepare.
mm,
Uh, and so after that, pretty much I got signed to an agency after that. And, my agency, they started submitting me the jobs and I started booking. After that, I booked the originals. I was Jarek, one of the only black werewolves. Did that. Then from that, I did a scene with Kevin Spacey on House of Cards. From that, I did Chasing Waterfalls, Fatal Attraction, Your Worst Nightmare, and it just kept going.
wow, wow. And you know what's interesting about that? I love that story. I was watching something on Instagram with Deion Sanders the other day,
Mm.
and he said that all of the phenomenal plays that you saw while he was playing football were actually not his best plays.
Mm.
He says, "Those weren't my best plays." He said, "My best plays were when no one was watching." He said, "My best plays were in practice when there were no cheering fans or anything like that." And he said, the reason my plays were better then is because I practiced the way I played so
Mm,
that when I played, it was like practice. And that is exactly what you just talked about reminded me of, because you know what? Being a stand-in was practice,
yeah.
but you weren't practicing. You were actually playing the game.
Hey,
So that when it was time for coach to put you in the game, it was a wrap because they were like, oh shit, he ready.
right.
So you didn't have to, well, can I, coach, I got to warm up. I ain't got to warm up play. Look, I'm ripping my sweatpants off and I'm going in and I'm dropping 50 like Kobe. So with that, what would you say to anyone looking to get into this business and they kind of have the I'm just getting in it for the red carpet mindset?
Um, and you know what's crazy? A lot of actors make it that way, right?
Mm,
Just carpet, but then they find out that they actually love it. They actually want to do it. There are actors who never love it. They just do it. I've met a couple successful actors who were just like, yeah, I mean, acting is not something I always wanted to do. It was just something I was good at. Um, and so it's not that you can't make it that way, but I will say this. Um, you'll never experience the best part of yourself if you're doing something that you don't truly love or you're not truly passionate about it, because you can be good, but that doesn't mean that you'll ever reach a level of greatness if it's not what you love. And so I would say, um, evaluate. Why do you want to do it? Do you want to do it for money and the fame and all of those things? Well, I mean, you can do other things for money and fame, right? Why acting? Because I'll tell you one thing: you can, pretend all you want. This has happened to a few of my friends. When lights, camera, actions, when you hear that, when you hear action, you can't fake anything. When you have 100 people, casting director, the producer, the line producer, the director, everybody is on set looking at you, and you have 3 or 4 cameras that are about $100,000 a piece. You have lights in your face, and you are standing opposite of someone else who's a known actor, and you get that opportunity. You can't fake it then. So it's best to understand why you're doing it, because you get a lot of people who get those opportunities. And when they end up, I mean, I know actors who've gotten fired on set because they were exposed. You're gonna get exposed. You are. And so the best thing is, don't even put yourself in that situation, because you'll get blackballed real quick. And then now you got to try to fight to get back in, because now you realize, oh my God, I really do love it. But now nobody wants to give you a chance.
mhm,
Understand why you're doing it. Have a passion for it. And if you're honest with yourself and it's not something that you really truly want to do something else. Do something else that you're passionate about. But if you are truly passionate about this thing, even with that passion, it does not guarantee that you're not going to have doors slammed in your face, because you will.
mhm.
Does not mean you're not going to be told no, because you will. Does not mean that you're going to be waiting for that phone call after you've been pinned and it's between you and somebody else, and you can't sleep because you're like, please call me, please call me, please call me. And the next morning they don't call you, or the next day, or the next day, and you find out you didn't get it. Those moments are going to happen. But the love for acting, the love and the passion that you have is going to drive you, and that's going to push you to keep going, even when you're crying, even when you're upset, and you're like, damn, why didn't I get this job? It's going to push you. It's going to keep you going. And for me, that's the reward. Because when I don't book, you guys have seen the jobs that I have booked. For every job that I booked, it's about 100 jobs I didn't.
Mhm.
And that's what you have to understand. When you go and audition, there are thousands of people auditioning for the same role. What makes you so special? Can't think about, I need this job, I need this job. That's another thing. You can't be desperate for a job, because they can smell it, they can feel it. You walk in the room and you're like, it's going to take away from your performance. You
Mhm.
got to walk in there like, you know what? I'm just happy to be here. And whether I book or not, thank you for giving me the opportunity. And that's it. You go in there, you do the best you can, you leave everything on the floor, you walk away, and say, you know what? I did what I could. I did my best. I know I was prepared. I was ready. I killed it. After that, you ain't got no control over it, and feel good about what you've done.
Beautiful. And that is so true. And I've been on a couple of those first refusals, and
Whew.
you every minute you and then you don't get that email, you don't get that call from your manager that
Wait, Floyd. I remember when I was still in Philly, I had this you know how Facebook reminds you of certain things. It could have been 15 years ago, but it'll remind
yeah.
you of memory. And a couple years ago, the memory came up where I had thought that I booked a Campbell's soup commercial. And I was congratulating, myself and thanking everybody. I mean, I was giving pretty much like an Academy Award winning speech to everybody. So that's behind. Thank you for my representation. Thank you for this thing. And I found out that it was just a callback.
Wow.
And I go to the callback and I'm thinking I'm hired. They're like, no, this is a callback. This is not, you didn't book it yet. I'm like,
Mhm.
what? Because the person that was representing me told me something different.
Right.
I didn't get it. And I was so distraught,
Hmm.
but it was just like, what you gonna do? And I mean, I was depressed, man. I mean, that thing sent me, I was depressed for at least a good month.
Mm.
And I just had it, but I needed that. I needed to experience that because God was preparing me for what was going to happen in the future, to be strong and resilient even when you get those no's. And I'm glad I experienced that. So
Yeah, yeah, yeah. That's amazing. So we're almost done because again, brother, I know you're a busy man. I just have a couple more questions for you.
that was,
You've been in, some really good stuff. You just did the Christmas movie, Wesley Christmas. Did I get that right?
yep.
And if I'm not mistaken, you guys have a sequel coming out to that.
Yes, so yeah, we absolutely do. So we have a Wesley wedding that's coming out after
Oh
that.
wow.
That'll be in November or December. Um, and then we're actually going to almost spilled the beans, but we have a Wesley vacation.
Oh nice.
We're going out of the country to shoot that, and I'm
Oh
excited.
beautiful.
Yeah, yeah.
That's nice. And then I saw a trailer of you playing a cop
Oh yeah.
alongside another phenomenal actress, Dawn Noel.
Hmm.
So who you stalking, man? I'm looking. I'm like, wait a minute now, Cab. You stalking people? What's going on with this?
So shout out to my girl Dawn, and Denise Boutte. I play the opposite of her. She plays my wife in it. Shout out to her as well. Phenomenal actress. So yeah, Game of Deceit. It's my first lead role in the film. We shot it in LA, and let me tell you about that real quick.
No, please. I got time.
Oh yeah. So, Um, I was scared, man. I was nervous. I was scared because, first of all, I only had about a week to prepare.
Mm,
I gotten booked for that job, and then a week later, I had to be in LA shooting my first scene,
mm,
and I was scared. I'm gonna tell you why. I've done a lot of different things, and God has blessed me with a lot of great opportunities. But we're talking about Denise Boutte. I mean, she is a phenomenal actress, right? And you know, I know what I can do, right? So
mhm.
very confident in that. But this role wasn't just a role. It was, there was a lot of complexities in it. A cop who's going through a lot. And I can't give the story for those who haven't seen it, so you gotta check it out. But there was a lot of layers to it. And I'm sitting there and I'm like, oh my God, can I pull this off? And I'm like, Kev, and I had to have a whole pep talk, with myself. And I'm like, look, this is what you've been preparing for, right? And you know, I, I get out there in LA, man, and the sun is shining, some beautiful palm trees and everything. And my first scene was 5 pages long.
Wow.
I mean, they threw me in there with the lions. Like it was crazy. And either you're going to perform or you're not.
Mhm.
And I remember, you know, getting on set. And typically you have a few hours to prepare and everything. Man, when I got on set, they were like, okay, we're going to hair, makeup, da, da, da. All right, we're ready. I'm like, what?
Okay.
Didn't even get it. I had maybe 20 minutes to run lines with Denise. First time I'd ever met her. And I'm
Mm.
is crazy, but let's do it. But it was my training. But even before that, it was prayer. It was
Mhm.
my God to say, you know what, God, you wouldn't put me in this situation if you knew that I couldn't do it. And so my faith plays a lot into these roles that I go after and that I book.
Oh no, where'd he go? We lost him for a second, ladies and gentlemen. Oh, there he is.
Yeah. So sorry about that. So, my faith plays a lot into that. And so, I prayed about it and I said, no, like, Kev, you are a beast. Go in there and give them you. And the first scene, we go through the first run through, and I was, a little nervous, but we got through it. Director said, okay, cool. Let's try it again. And I'm like, all right, cool. Tried it again. Felt a lot better. All right, now we're ready to shoot. Let's go. And that third time, I was in it. I,
Mm,
and I was like, oh, I'm gonna be okay.
mhm.
Definitely gonna be okay. And so, that experience was like, it was amazing because it was like, it's an actor's dream. You get to be in LA, you get to shoot with like a known actress, or actor, and you're there and you get, your lead, and it's like, and I can honestly say I needed that, because that moments like that is what
Mhm.
gets you ready for even bigger opportunities, man.
Yeah.
So shout out to her. If you have not seen the movie, check it out. Doing Noel, that's my girl. Met her in LA. Found out she's from Philly too, so that was dope.
Yeah. Good
Uh,
girl.
yeah, it's good. Getting great reviews, and yeah, I'm a little thrown off in this movie.
Yeah, that was good. And you know what? I always say that if it's comfortable, it ain't stretching you.
Oof, my
You
gosh.
never grow in comfort. And as we were talking about earlier, lifting weights, when you're
You ain't,
ripping that muscle, there is no if you're in the
you ain't
gym and you're
sure.
lifting,
You ain't did it right.
you're like, okay, all right, and you leave the gym and you don't feel like then you're not stretching yourself.
Right,
So every time you find yourself in those situations
right.
and you're a little nervous, that is a wonderful thing.
Mm,
Most people don't see it that way.
mm,
But when I'm in certain things, like right now, I'm doing some things and I'm nervous. So when I'm nervous and I'm uncomfortable and I have butterflies, I say you're on the right track.
mm.
Because if I entered into it and I'm like, oh, I got this, it's all good. If I didn't have like a twinge of a doubt,
Right,
then it ain't big enough.
right,
It ain't big enough. But
right.
the last question, you did a symposium, I guess I could say, back in January, where you had some brothers come together for like an actors
Leading men of film and television. Yeah.
meeting men of film and television, and I checked that out today. So what was that all about, and what was your reasoning behind putting that together?
Um, Sometimes you got to stop waiting for a yes and create your own yes. And under Savage Brand Enterprises, which is my company, I said, well, I want to do something that's going to bring actors together and put them in a room with, entertainment and professionals, and industry professionals, and I said, you know what, let's do that. And so, shout out to my partner, Michelle Taylor Willis, who was the host. We came together and she asked me what I wanted to do, and I said, look, I want to put a panel together with three other dudes that I just respect and that I love, and that's what I did. And so what it was a panel for actors to come out, ask questions to working actors, but also it was a networking event, right?
Mhm.
Live event. And then they could actually sit and really just get to know each other. And we had some industry professionals there, where if they were ready and they brought their headshots and all of those things, they could get hired and booked on the spot, or get signed to an agency on the spot. And it was just something that I don't really think no one's ever really done. And we had cake and champagne. You walk in, you get greeted with a glass of champagne, and on a cake it said Savage Brand Enterprises. So it was a beautiful thing to
Oh,
walk in
nice.
my company, my business, there, and we just had such a great time. And so now we're going to do the leading women of film and television, where I'm going to choose,
Beautiful.
and it's going to be the same thing, and just honor the women that are working and doing their thing. And I want to do that, and I want to travel with it. I want to travel with it. I want to do it in LA. I want to do it in Miami. I want to do it, in Philly, my city. Yeah, yeah, and that's what I'm gonna do.
Well, that's beautiful. So you definitely have to come here and do it. I don't know if you know Eli and Lou Bevins. I don't know if you know those young ladies, the
Like,
Lou twins. Yeah, we're really doing some phenomenal things here. We just did a Wu-Tang screening last night,
nice.
and we had Old Dirty Bastard's daughter and a gentleman by the name of Wavy Jones. He played Biggie Smalls. So I interviewed those guys at the Wu-Tang screening last night. So we definitely have to get together and partner up and do something, because when I was listening to you describe it, the word that kept coming to mind was business.
Mhm.
Because so many times, filmmakers, actors, content creators, when it's the creative side, they straight.
Right.
But when it comes to the business side, they have absolutely no idea what's going on, which could hurt them. So when you were talking about, the men of distinction, I was like, see, he's getting people together to tell them how the business works, which
Absolutely.
which is amazing.
Yeah.
Because if you don't know how this business works,
Yeah.
as a lot of people that I know in this business say, there is no show without the business.
Right.
There is no show without the business. So Kevin, what's next? Because I know you had the one show on oh gosh, I can't remember the name of it, with Karen Ward Ross on All Black.
We have so we have Hush. That's fun. We shoot actually season 2, I want to say in May. Uh
Mm, mm,
so shout out to Chuck and Bree Octet. And they're, same production company for A Wesley Christmas and those movies. So yeah. So we go back in with that. I actually have a television show called Fight that I'm working on. I want to shoot that. It's a fighting, television show, and I want to take that to Philly. So we're looking right now at a couple different networks, and that's going to be submitted through Octet, which is the parent company that I'm partnering up with.
mhm.
And so that's going to be my baby, man. I'm excited about that.
Now
Uh,
you've been talking about that for a while.
wow, yeah, it takes a
The
while.
foot the boxing.
Yeah, yeah,
Oh man, yeah, I remember we talked about this. What, about 2-3 years ago?
yeah. But it's finally starting to come together, politics and all that stuff. But yeah, yeah. So I'm in there training, and yeah, it's gonna be nice. It's gonna be
See,
dope.
that's see. I'm glad you brought that up to end this, because that really lets people know that nothing in this business is overnight.
Mm-mm.
Now we talked about this.
Yeah,
It may have been a little more than 3 years ago, because I
yeah,
remember we were on the phone talking about this,
yeah.
and it and it's now just coming to fruition, and you're now just birthing this. But anything worth doing and doing right
Right.
takes time.
Uh,
Takes time. So, Mr. Savage, where can everyone find you? I know the ladies be looking for you, but where can everybody find you?
Not that. Nah, Kevin Savage on Instagram and Kevin Savage on Facebook. Yeah, man, I'm just, I'm blessed, and you just got to keep inventing yourself, reinventing yourself, and that's what I'm doing. And I got music coming out, so I'm excited about that. So be ready for that. Yeah, yeah.
Wow. Well, brother, this has been absolutely amazing. I'm so glad that we could finally get together to do this, because I was really excited to talk to you, because again, it's just been an honor and a pleasure watching you grow. It's an absolute privilege to call you a friend, and
Uh,
to see your trajectory, and to see you stay humble, and just, you know, really enjoying the process is such a joy for me. It's always nice, seeing yourself, Lionel, Neil, Todd, Anthony, seeing all you guys just doing just absolutely amazing things. And I'm like, damn, I worked with all of these brothers.
yeah.
So I like to think I had a very small part in in
You
in, in
absolutely,
you guys.
absolutely, man. You gave us opportunities, man. You gave us an opportunity to do what we love to do, bro. So I'll always remember that. You'll always have a special place in my heart, brother. Love you, man, and I can't
Love you
wait
as well.
for you, man.
All right. Well, ladies and gentlemen, I hope that you have enjoyed this episode with Philly's own Kevin Savage brand. Make sure you are following this phenomenal brother on all social media platforms. Please check out everything that he has going on. It's as easy as typing it in and Googling it to see. He's Googleable. So everything that he's doing is out there. And again, share this episode with your friends, download it, subscribe to the podcast, because we are going to keep bringing you people such as this phenomenal young brother. And when you get close to the fight, you're going to have to come back on, because I would really love to talk to you about that project, because I'm really excited to hear about it. But any parting words for the people listening?
Absolutely. Stay ready. Stay ready. Do not give up. Like I said before, you can't guarantee when your time is coming, but if you give up, you can guarantee that it'll never come. Just stay ready, stay on point, um, and don't rush the process. I came here 10 years ago and I'm just really starting to warm up. There's not a time limit in which you should feel like you should arrive, right? Because you'll miss all the intricate things that you learn in between that time. Enjoy the process and just thank God that you're allowed, he's allowed you to go after your dreams, because everybody can't do that.
Well, you know what? You heard it here, and you heard it here first. So, ladies and gentlemen, again, thank you so much for joining me on a conversation with and spending an hour with myself and Kevin Savage. And as I always say at the end of my shows, love this like a hobby, but please treat it like a business. And on
Mm.
that note, everyone, have a phenomenal night and stay successful. Peace.